What's up everybody, Tricks Ridiculous back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about why I think Batgirl is one of the highest DPS characters in Gotham Knights, both for solo and group play. So if you are a Batgirl main or plan to be, you don't want to miss this one. Before we do, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Gotham Knights coverage. But otherwise, let's jump right into it. Now, I really don't think that all of Batgirl's kit is extremely stellar, but the few things that I do like about her kit, I really like. And I feel like she's got some moves and some combinations that are going to be absolutely broken in a lot of circumstances. So even though it might seem like she's kind of just spamming the same thing over and over again, I think it will be extremely powerful. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, a lot of what I'm going to talk about here really revolves around her beatdown ability. So one of her momentum abilities is actually this one right here, the beatdown. You'll see it's pretty much a series of strikes. If you can see that thumbnail, she performs a series of quick strikes that deal to a single enemy that deal massive damage, right? So essentially, you're just going to single out one target and absolutely annihilate them, right? And that just caused one momentum. Now, why is this good? Well, when you look at some of Batgirl's skills here, you'll see that a lot of what she has is pretty standard stuff. She's got, all the crit damage stuff. Some of her kind of critical attack chances, they're not really restricted by anything. Robin's is, for example, is with elemental damage. Red Hood's, a little different. So she's very generic in that sense, but some of the things that really put her over the top are abilities like this one, Elite Beatdown. Beatdown can't be interrupted by most enemy attacks, and Batgirl's defense increases by 20% when using the ability. So what that means is you're not going to get knocked out of that beatdown, right? You're going to be able to spam that beatdown on a single target, and it's pretty much most likely, they say most enemy attacks, it's probably going to get to the end of the actual enemy attack before you're gonna have to deal with anything else, right? And you get that extra 20%, so you're probably gonna take a little bit of damage if you get hit while you're doing it, but you'll see in other parts of the skill tree, she's got a lot of tankiness as well, all right? The other thing that you're gonna wanna use here is right here, another upgrade to the beatdown that it can now interrupt armored enemies attacks. Okay, so you'll see in the tooltip here, an enemy's coming at you with an attack, boom, you interrupt it with the beatdown, right? So you're able to still use that beatdown but interrupt those attacks. She's almost like a counter spell, right? Like she just counters what enemies are doing. I think combine those things together, I think it's going to be extremely powerful, right? The other thing that she has, which comes in the middle tree here, and it is this one right here, Unflinching Heavy Strike. Most enemy attacks can't interrupt Batgirl's heavy melee attack. So what that means, your heavy melee attack is essentially the heavy attack that's a guard break. It does a lot of damage, but the downside to it is it has to charge up. And for every other character, if you're charging it up and an enemy hits you, you lose it, right? So you have to get the full duration without getting hit to actually land the strike. With Batgirl, that's not the case. You're going to be able to still do your heavy melee attacks while face tanking enemy damage, all right? That's going to be extremely powerful because you're going to be able to guard break very easily, both with that and with your beatdown ability. She's basically uninterruptible, okay? Everything about her kit based on these abilities is extremely uninterruptible and high single target damage, all right? I think that's going to be extremely powerful, and really just those skills alone is pretty much what I would revolve around. She's got other skills, a lot of just general stat stick type stuff. Some things even include, her heavy melee attack, right? You're obviously going to want to pick things up like that. And then coming into her middle kit here, I don't think this kit otherwise is that impressive. I don't really think you need that much health, and I don't think the self-revive is going to be that good unless you're playing, in solo play, where, your teammate can't come and revive you. But from what I've seen in gameplay, it doesn't seem like, health and damage taking is going to be that important. I think Batgirl should be able to be tanky enough with even just the top one here, base health by 40%. Doesn't apply to bonus provided by gear. We'll see what kind of defense you can spec her with, but she only needs a little extra health for the reasons I just described, that she's going to be doing attacks and she doesn't get interrupted, right? So she might take a couple hits while she's actually doing an attack, but you're not going to have to worry about it because you're going to have a little more health and you're still going to be able to finish that attack off, which if you're using the beatdown, you know is going to be that high single target damage. So you should be able to spam it over and over again, let enemies try to hit you, counter them, right? Stop those attacks and just stay on the beatdown train. That's how I see it. The other thing about her, she does have a kit pretty much completely dedicated to hacking. Now, I won't speak on this too much because we really don't know how useful this is going to be in the end game. If it turns out that hacking and stealth and all that stuff and disabling cameras and turrets is going to be extremely powerful and extremely useful in end game content, then that only makes Batgirl that much better. But even still, not even considering any of that with turrets and cameras and stuff, a couple of other things she can actually do. She can overcharge an enemy's gun or device, instantly applying an elemental effect to that enemy. That can be extremely powerful. So on large tanker enemies, I don't know if it'll work on bosses. Maybe it does. You can essentially deactivate their weapon, right? So they're going to lose the weapon that they have. It's going to explode, and they're going to take elemental damage on top of that. So very useful in a team aspect as well. And then she also has another ability here, which she can actually overclock her own abilities to deal 10% extra damage and give 15% extra damage to your allies, right? So you definitely going to want to be spamming that. Keep all of that up on your allies at all time. It's not a huge bonus. Nightwing himself has multiple abilities that give 10 and 15%. So it's not the hugest bonus, but it's definitely something. And especially with all of the different knights giving all these different bonuses, you're going to see some big damage numbers, and especially in 4-player team co-op. But otherwise, that is really why I think Batgirl is going to have some of the highest DPS. I don't think the health pack stuff is going to be super useful. Coming over to her knighthood, this is one of the cooler abilities as well. The fact that she can actually grapple and pull an enemy towards her to be able to deal with it. If it's a larger enemy, she'll go towards the enemy, which is not as useful. I think pulling the enemy towards her with her grappling hook is going to be a lot more useful than I think people are maybe giving this skill credit for. Maybe they're just not seeing it because remember, Batgirl, from everything we've talked about, she's a single target DPS character. She counters enemies, she's uninterruptible, heavy attacks, beatdowns, right? That's what she's about, right? She's a total brawler. All right, and what she's going to want to do, she doesn't really have a lot of crowd control and stuff like that, so she's going to want to single out enemies, and she doesn't do it with stealth. You know, these are not stealth things. She has a few things about stealth in her kit, but it's really not her main focus. She wants to get right in there, isolate an individual enemy, and take them out one at a time, right? So I think that's all going to be really useful. And then she's got her drone ability, which is just okay. We'll have to see how much damage it actually does, but it seems like it could be fine for an ultimate. It's got a pretty low cooldown, so it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I think that's how Batgirl should be played, and I can foresee, especially at the later levels, when you level her up, you start getting more and more momentum, and you get all of this uninterruptible stuff, right? I really think you're going to be able to absolutely lay in, especially, you know, think about what we talked about in the Nightwing overview when you talk about like the nest, right? You put that nest on an enemy, you apply all these different debuffs. I imagine Batgirl is going to be the one getting right in the face of an enemy during like a DPS phase, right? And just absolutely, you can unload, 3-4 beatdowns right one after the other and just absolutely devastate a boss. I think laying out beatdown, I think is going to be one of the higher DPS things, at least that we've seen so far in this game. So if you're a Batgirl main, I think keep it in your mind that you're going to be the DPS king. You're going to be the single target, assassin style DPS king or queen in this game. That's what I think about Batgirl. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you going to be maining Batgirl? If not, who are you going to main? Or are you going to play them all? Who do you think is the best character? Again, be sure to subscribe for more Gotham Knights coverage. Like the video if you haven't already. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next one.